Hello. Happy Tuesday. I am so late today. I feel like I've been late a lot lately. Oh, excuse me. That'll be yawning. I was up at like earlier than I like to be up. I was helping a friend move and we wanted to get stuff done before it got hot. And we did, but then I fell asleep on the couch when I got home. Between carrying boxes and being up early. I'm looking around the map like I have any idea what I'm doing next, and I don't think that I do. Have I started to craft anything over here? We do have some things that I labeled. Okay, MOSFET and microchip upgrade. Sponge upgrade. Epoxy upgrade. Cool. Those are all things that I remember deciding I needed to upgrade. Did I determine that I had enough? 2 of those, 4 of those, 4 of those. And then this one's a whole complicated thing. Right. I was talking about whether I needed to centralize liquid nitrogen. I have vague memories of this. Question is, do we have enough when we look at circuit board 3s? Did I already go through and double check all of my silicon? So like 0.5 of the, what is that? Heavily N-doped. None there. 3.33, so that's like 3.8. Nothing in diodes. 4.8. Yeah, 4.8. Okay. So we're like right on the edge with heavily N-doped. Let me be more precise in my counting. 0.48. 1.48. 4.81. Okay, so we do need one more machine. That's fine. And the lightly N-doped, what is that? 0.48 plus 1.48. That's 8, so 9.48 plus 0.8, 9.56. That does just squeeze under the demand. Lightly P-doped, I don't even see here, so that's good. 1 there. 5.67. 9. 9.8 lightly P-doped. 9.6, so we need one more machine here. That'll be exactly 12. And then heavily P-doped is new, so whatever. None of this uses silicon directly, right? Not that I see. As long as we're accounting for the processors already, we are. Okay. So yeah, we did need a couple more machines on some of these. And then I still need to decide as far as this one goes, if I want to be making liquid nitrogen centrally or what. Oh, this loops its liquid nitrogen entirely. Interesting. And then a little bit of petroleum gas is just a byproduct. All right. Do we need any of these things at other stages? I mean, cold, clean air, maybe. Cold air, not really. Purified air is only used for cool air. Oh, the recipe is called cool air. The output is cold air. Sure. And then, yeah, a little bit of petroleum gas output is fine. Yeah, maybe I do just want to centralize the liquid nitrogen production. But cold clean air, liquid clean air, liquid pure air distillation gives me helium. And this dry gas stream that we will eventually do, what? Somehow get methanol out of? I'm just going through with this whole... Hey, welcome in. How's the pie run going? We're in the spreadsheet phase of the pie run. I'm working on blue chips. So I'm letting myself get distracted with byproducts and things that I don't need to be looking at right now. How's the 2.1 run treating you? Whoops. Love you some Spage. There you go. Haven't really touched many of the new features yet. Fair. I mean, a lot of it is quality of life stuff, right? But... So looking at this, I am going to have to build some more gas processing units, I think, for every type of silicon. And then the heavily p-doped, I think I am going to do liquid nitrogen centrally. What software is this? This is YAFC, YAFC, yet another factorial calculator. It historically has worked better for Pi than some of the factory planning tools built into the game, because it handles like recipes with loops and things like that really well. And other factory planners have gotten better about that, I should say. And I have not retested them all recently. But I got used to using this when that was more of an issue with the other tools. Okay, so I need to check what... Oops, wrong button, sorry. I need to check how many gas processing units I have doing all the different types of silicon. I've got 3 on... What is this? 3 on lightly P, 3 on lightly N, 2 on heavily N. So I need 1 for lightly N, 2 more for lightly P, and 1 more for heavily N. So I need 4 more in total, is what I'm seeing. So let's go ahead and get that requested at the mall, because I don't think I've done that already. No, that's for MOSFETs and microchips. That's the sponge upgrade, and this is epoxy. Yeah. Drop in a new requester chest. What did I just say I needed? 4 of them. And that's going to be 8 prod modules because we prod everything. All right, apparently I had some gas processing units ready to go. Should we actually play the game for a bit? Let's play the game. We've got 3 things that are ready for me to grab from the mall and do some of the upgrades and rebuilds that we need. So let's work on some of that stuff for a little bit, and then we'll go back into the spreadsheet. Still issues with fuels and differences in temps. Yeah, I think the temperature stuff is the place where YAFC really shines these days. And I know they refactored some of the temperature stuff in YAFC, so it is a little bit smarter about it, even than it was, which is nice. All right, what do we got? We've got... Oh boy, how bad is my inventory? How long are the bots going to be trying to refill me for? All right, maybe we spend a little bit more time in the spreadsheets while the bots refill all the stuff that I have stocked. Your recipe wants 150 steam in the boilers make... Yeah, that's one of the things that YAFC definitely handles. I wonder if I can find a place where we're doing, like... Yeah, because I can say here, like, the recipe wants at least 150, so YAFC says, these are all the temperatures you can make. Which one do you want to make? So you can find the right machine. Anyway. So I think... Let me look at... If we look for liquid nitrogen... Yeah, we're using liquid nitrogen in a few places. Apparently we need a little bit more in here. And there's a couple places where we're currently making it on site for retrovirus and TCL. Both of these I don't want to change. I should probably go back and look for that list of things to manually unlock. Yeah, it might be like a pinned comment in the Discord. It might be relatively straightforward to find. I can see that I have not... There we go. Have not fixed this since they fixed temperatures with heat generation. Some of my tabs are still broken. What I was saying was I'm not going to change retrovirus and... Oh, this one's the same. 1000 degree heat, please. I'm not going to change these immediately to pull liquid nitrogen from the system, but I want to make sure that I'm making enough so that the next time I touch these builds, I can take the opportunity to do that refactor. So we've got 50 here and 4 here. Plus another 8 1/3 is 62 1/3. Plus another 1476 1/3. All right. So we probably only need like 80. I don't know what how much you make from each machine. We can't prod this, so we'll probably just use the Mark 1s. All right, 16 2/3 per machine, and I said I need like 80. No, that's not quite right. 100 would be exactly 6 machines, right? Yeah. So I want like 5/6 of that, so... 83, sorry. 83 and a third. Yep, that's fine. That is a lot of nitrogen, though. Jeez, how much nitrogen are we making? Okay. The answer is, I make a lot of nitrogen. I forgot I had done like a I don't want to worry about nitrogen build. So I don't have to worry about nitrogen. Yeah, I think this is pretty much it. I mean, we need to bring in water. We need to deal with the steam output. No sense trying to loop that. Water's free. And then it looks like... maybe I should just go for 100 a second. Because then we're at exactly 2 outfalls, exactly 5 cooling towers. Isn't that my priority oxygen build too? I don't remember. Maybe? Is this... no, this is the... this is the prioritized oxygen so that it doesn't block the nitrogen production. Yes. So we prefer to pull oxygen from here. And then when this is not enough, and I know it's not enough, we fall back to the electrolysis because we can void the hydrogen. We just burn it and vent the steam and get flue gas that we can turn into acid gas or other things. I think that's how the priorities work. But either way, this shouldn't ever be blocked. We should be able to make plenty of nitrogen. So let's grab our shopping list, export to blueprint. That is my favorite YAVC feature, although I'm sure all the in-game ones can do it too. Let's give this a name, liquid nitrogen. Let's give this one a name. This is silicon upgrade. And then I can also, I think, export the list for the heavily p-doped silicon, now that I've got the liquid nitrogen build ready to go. But if we check that, not all of these have to be Mark II buildings, right? These can all be Mark Is. They're all used in fairly small quantities, and they don't take modules, so I don't need the extra module slot. So let's grab that shopping list. Wow. Oh, because this is all Mark I buildings. So I probably still have a bunch of compressors in storage from, yeah, from the before times when I had a mall that was crafting 50 of every building and not doing stuff on demand. Speaking of the mall, we're waiting on mirrors, and is all of this up here just still chugging along? No. Why are we halted? Low temperature. No fuel. What do we request? Coke. Does the mall not... so, like, in the interim, there's a fix for this. I think I just assumed that I would always be dumping enough, like, random Coke and stuff in the mall that it wouldn't matter. But, like, anything burnable that might end up in here, we can just do this, right? Coal, raw coal, whatever. Anything that ends up in the mall in my inventory can get dumped in there to be burnable. Look, we got a bunch of whatever they're taking. We have heaps of raw coal. It's everywhere. Apparently a little... oh, no, that's lead. I was going to say a little bit of some other kind of coal. Crushed coal. But yeah. We have heaps of raw coal, so I think it'll just burn raw coal for a while, and it'll probably last just long enough for me to forget that this was a problem. Wow. All right. What is this one? This is heavily N or heavily P doped? Heavily P doped silicon, which is going to be a new build. All right, let's get some upgrades done. Let's grab this and this. And what's this one? Epoxy? Sure. Could I do the technically correct thing and add a train station for it? Yes. But I do actually want, like, all this stuff that's ended up in storage to get used up. Because I had built this station, and... But the raw coal's never going anywhere because I don't have any demand for raw coal. It's one of the things that I can't really get rid of at the mall. The coal did all get sent away, which is good. Although this coal... Well, I'll get out of the mall area so that my bots don't do anything. And now I should be able to say, this is done. We don't need it anymore. Because we were able to clear out a lot of the coal. And then this one, we're just going to give up on exporting raw coal, and we'll use raw coal here for a while. And eventually we will have to request coal or something. What I might be able to do is have like a raw coal-to-coal processing, because I'm going to keep dumping raw coal in the mall, right? I'm going to keep picking up rocks that have coal in them and dropping it off at the mall. So... how I get that used up is a thing that I do need to figure out, but I don't want to figure it out now. The right thing to do is probably to put that export station back, and then, or maybe just do it on site, make a raw coal to coal bare minimum processing at the mall, and then supplement that with coal that comes in on rails. That's maybe the right choice. Heavily N-doped, we need 3 of. All right. And the other, let's see, lightly N-doped is going to be 4, so this is going to have to move. Of course it's going to have to move. Oh, all of this has to move. Ooh. All right, that's fine. And then lightly P-doped is 5. Add a supplemental line. Yeah, the problem is, well, I could do that. All of my coal processing happens, like, on-site with mining. Like, I don't have raw coal on rails at all. It's one of the only ores that I don't have on rails. But I could definitely do that. Am I doing the right thing with train limits here, by the way? I'm not. Ooh, okay, I should fix this. Not that it really matters, but, yeah. Oh, why is all this broken, by the way? Our coal dust void is not keeping up. Which probably shouldn't surprise me. Wasn't that up here? There it is. Yeah, just bringing a single yellow belt to the top set of machines. That would probably be fine. Yeah, I mean, this is doing a red belt of coal dust, but obviously we're doing much more coal processing than that. Like, I don't know how much coal dust this is capable of making, but it's a lot more than one red belt. Let me put that on the to-do list, because I don't want to figure that out now. Obviously, we're not falling over for lack of coal yet. One of the things we might want to look into is, like, are these made from coal dust? They are. And they're super dense power. I think there was something... Was it antimony where we had really big solid fuel power demand? I ended up using efficiency modules instead of prod modules on one of the antimony steps. Is that, the situation? It'll be a good fuel for them all, too. It would be a good fuel for them all. Yeah, and we'd have to... Again, we'd have to figure out how to export the raw coal then, and like you said, we could just make it a supplementary belt into one of these coal processing steps. We've got room for, like, another... I could do the thing that I always say I should stop doing and just tuck a train station here and plumb it in. So it wouldn't be too bad. How many of these did I build? Is that 6? Wow. I really decided I did not want coal to be a problem ever again, didn't I? So, what's next? That's all the silicon done, or all the old silicons are done. Transistors, microchips, MOSFETs, and diodes. Right. So transistors stay one machine. Diodes stay one machine. Microchips go up to 7. When in doubt, double it is in full effect. I think I tripled it, actually. But yes, that's definitely full when in doubt, double it. If I run these, can these squeeze in? Not like this, but if I upgrade the pipes, then yes. Okay. Because I'm thinking I can just run these vertically right through here. And all I have to do is upgrade all the pipes for the vacuum. Which is fine. I have a pipe upgrader, right? Yeah. Oh, this one is also microchips. Which means that all of this can go even a little further. Oh, even better. We can do it like that. Look at that. There we go. That's what we want. And this is the output. I'm going to question why I did this. Oh, absolutely. I'm going to question why I did it this way later. By the time I question this, we will be working on the next tier of circuits. And hopefully we won't even be really upgrading the same build anymore. We'll be looking at replacing it entirely. Oh, these don't pass vacuum through, do they? So I have to make this a little bit denser, or a little bit less dense. All right, let's do this. Okay. Apparently I had a thing. And then if I do these like this... No, those don't connect. What am I doing with this? That's such a weird way to do this. Okay, no, we're not doing that. Let's get rid of the power poles. Let's move all of this. Do these reach across from here to here? No. Fine. We'll just do this. Oh, because if I have them right in the middle, then I can reach the inserters on both sides with just one. I see what I did. Ooh, that's awful, and I love it. And then these inserters all need to come a little bit more towards the middle so they can all fit like there where there's power. We only need 7, so top one goes away. At least it's consistent. It's fine. I've committed much worse power pole placement sins than this. Seven's what we need, right? 7's what we need. I have an extra one because I think I miscounted. Oh, do I not have... What are we missing? Oh, the vacuum. Duh, of course. I just haven't finished rewiring that yet. Should have seen your first ever solar build in the web of power. Oh, getting solar right is always such a chore. Where is the pressure pump? There it is. For vacuum. And that should be enough microchips for a while. Here, let's get rid of the ones we don't need. And those will just get output as necessary and sent wherever they need to go. Microchips are done. MOSFETs need 5 factories on MOSFETs, and we currently have 4. Oh, there's my last factory. Evening! How's it going? Did you have any luck with the auto mall, by the way? You having a chance to look at it? No worries. I just wanted to make sure if you had any other questions, because I can I can take some time and point the camera at them all and try to remember how it works. All right, that should be it for all of the existing silicon making and using things. All the different types of doped silicon here. We don't need new transistors and diodes. We have the updated microchips. We have the updated transistors. Or MOSFETs, rather. Which are transistors, by the way. I should file a bug about that. Once another 400 hours have gone by. Well, the problem is, in 400 hours, you'll probably be on 2.1. And then the question is, will my design even still work with the combinator changes? We might have a couple of streams where I try to remember how it works and we have to refactor it. So, somewhere over here is epoxy. And we're going to need a lot more epoxy. Which almost certainly means that I need to go look into... I'll figure it out before you get there. There you go. So I think when I was looking at this last week, I said I wanted to shift this whole part of the build southwards, and then we can mirror it. What are we making? 7.2 BPA a second. Okay. From 20 phenol a second. So we do need a little bit more inserter capacity here. But this will all fit on one belt. Maybe we just do this then. Maybe we just do two of these like this. I could just switch stacks. I think I could just stack it. That is true. I think the question is, do I have space to do stack inserters more than anything else? But this is going to end up being two ore loaders. Loaders requires getting the fuel everywhere. That's a long-term project. So yeah, if we need 10 a second to each of these, that's like what? That is only like 2 blues, isn't it? Like, is this enough? Gonna keep bugging me. It's gonna be a couple hundred hours. For anyone watching who doesn't know, the loaders have a cost to run. So no, I keep forgetting. The loaders have a cost to run, and it changes at each tier. So from like stripped distillates to grease to Nexolite slurry. So we're gonna wait until we have blue belts and blue loaders, because then we can run the Nexolite slurry everywhere, and I don't have to worry about like changing over which type of whatever we need. So that's my plan. I'm sticking to it. It's not quite... Everything's not quite gonna fit nicely here, but we'll make it work. I think if I take this to, like... I guess here is fine. Yeah. So that'll be the acetone. We just have to bring it further south here. And then that drops here. No, but if I do that, this like this comes through. That's not going to work. Because ideally, I do want to run this right up here. Howdy, welcome in, first time chatter. Erao? Erao? Sorry. Time for spaghetti? Oh, almost certainly. The thing that I can do that I think is going to be the least spaghetti is to just shift this over here. And then I can run... Oh, see, this still has the issue with this. Here, let's do this. Let's take this whole thing and put it over here. If I move that a little bit further south, that gives me the space to have a pipe here, which is really all that I needed. And now the only spaghetti is still this little zigzag here. And that's fine. Sup, hi. Hard mode was oppressed, so I wanted to be here for a bit. Well, welcome in. Do I need the zig? I still need the zig around this pipe. I don't think I have space to run... Yeah, I'd need to move everything over like one to get rid of the zig around the acetone pipe at the top. Because up here, we're also kind of constrained by where all of our undergrounds fit, so I can't just move this belt over. Well, I could, but then we'd have a zig here. Or shift it down. Oh, I could shift it down. Maybe. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Down by one here. Yeah. Perfect. That works. That's hardly spaghetti at all. And it helps if I filter my inserters correctly, because there's definitely iron plates over here that should not be here. So we should have, what, 20 of those? What does this say? This says I'm supposed to have 20 of those. All right. Next. Mixers. There's 5. Well, we're doubling the whole build, right? That's... up to 20 of those. And then the last step up to however many of these... That's 16. We need 18. 2 more. Oh, I missed power. Cool. That should be epoxy upgraded. The thing that I'm concerned about as far as input amounts is the phenol. I'm gonna let it bring multiple trains in simultaneously of that. And hopefully we'll be able to keep up with that demand. 1.2 iron plates a second, not a problem. 6 sodium hydroxide a second. I'm gonna do 2 of these. I think 1 is not quite 6. And yes, I know I need the inserter throughput mod. Cool. That was a bunch of upgrades for the next tier of circuits. Already done. We haven't even had our first ad break yet. I'm so productive today. We've got a couple more upgrades, I think, already ready to go at the mall. Yeah, this is going to be the liquid nitrogen build. This is going to be the heavily p-doped silicon. And this is the sponge upgrade. Let's do the sponge upgrade next, because isn't something, like, totally busted because I don't have enough sponges? I don't remember what, but I remember something's broken. And then I need to decide where I want to start doing all of the, like, blue circuit components, like I did here, where I have kind of everything that feeds into red chips is set up near each other. I want to do the same thing for all the, like, blue chip intermediates. So maybe we can, like, run a couple of rails, like, east from here and set up the same kind of area that we can just do a bunch of builds in and call that blue chip land. But I need to double check what this lake to the east is doing. Because if this is, like, swooping way down here, then we might not have the space to the east that we need. Down here, we almost certainly do. We could do something here. But again, we've got this lake coming up. Depends how big a lake has to be before I don't want to landfill it. Yeah. Which, you know, is a problem that I created for myself, but playing hard mode is also a problem I created for myself. Ugh. So we'll do sponges, and then, like I said, I want to wander over here and just see what this lake is doing. I've got a bunch of weird, well, it's my diamond mines. My diamond mines are all here, because for whatever reason, I got lucky and there were a few diamonds in dragging a bunch of belts distance from each other. I could not, like, if I wanted to build in here, I could get rid of all these belts and, you know, have these hook up to stations with different paths. Either multiple stations as sources of diamonds, or just route the belts differently. Should probably do a full exploration around the edge at some point. Yeah, I need to figure out what directions I want to grow in, for sure. Alright. Sponge. Is all this running still, by the way? Oh yeah, we got lots of fuel options. In hard mode, they remove many of the... Yeah, that's the main hard mode thing, is getting rid of the voids. There's a few other changes. Some of the science packs have some extra, like, alien life ingredients, so you have to use more of the AL critters. There's other stuff. Containers are smaller, but I think that's a base Pi thing, not a hard mode specific thing. It's worse in hard mode? Whoa! You have fuel. What's going on? The Shrine flags? Yeah. Unfortunately, they are my biggest UPS hit right now. More so than the millions of inserters in the base are the... Oh, this is the problem. I forgot bricks stacked to 1,000. Okay. This needs to be a high throughput station. And that's going to mean moving everything around. All the belts are going to be different. All right. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be awful. These sawmills will lift up a couple tiles, no problem. And then I have some space where these belts are, so they can be shifted a little bit to the west as well. I just have to set the here, set the train limit to 0, so that we can replace this. Yeah, on the right side, the train only shows up once every month or so, yeah. I mean, this is a critical part of our science infrastructure, so... It's just this one and the one with iron in it, right? Yeah. I could be helping this along. Why are you... Oh, because the train limit's set to... All right. We're going to disable our requests. We're gonna... Like I said, I think this all just needs to get shifted north a couple of tiles. All of this can shift this way. That's probably too far. I think I only wanted to shift it 1. Well, whatever. I can move it back if I need to. And then I need to move everything that's in this out of it. Whoops. That's not the container I'm emptying. There we go. Now, where do I have a high throughput station that I can copy from? Here we go. Yeah, like that. Train has got bandwidth but terrible latency. Yep. Alright, now I just need to fix all my inserter pathing shenanigans. So these ones all need to be the bricks? Bricks. There's bricks, and then wood. Log input is just to a second, so we only need one of these guys on log duty. And how much iron plate do we use? 6 a second. All right. That that wasn't quite right. There we go. Just hope there's not a second. I turned off the train requests before I started messing with it. Reconnect the train requests, and we should be good to go. All right, Twitch is telling me that it is ad break o'clock. I do run just one ad break an hour, just long enough to keep the pre-roll ads turned off, because pre-roll ads are stupid. Still missing a power pole, am I? You sure? Anyway, I'm gonna step away and get some water during the ad break. I will see everyone in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around through the break. J-Man, you are right. I did miss that. I also did not finish these. Not that it's a big deal right now, but good to make sure the system doesn't fall too far behind. Why am I sitting on a bunch of productivity modules? Did I forget to put those in something? That's a question. Not sure if I saw that. Yes! I will take care of that in a moment, too. Did I do something wrong with, like, microchips? Those all have modules. Oh, do the bioreactors take prod for sea sponges? Okay, that's where the modules go. Yeah, Arrow, thank you for the follow. Let me find, where am I? Where am I going? Let me get your name on the Wall of Fame. There we go. Thank you again. Appreciate it. There is a wall of followers. It's getting bigger. All right, next is Sea Sponge. This is a big upgrade to Sea Sponge. Not big enough yet. I would tend to agree with that. I will happily take slow but consistent growth with followers and viewers who keep coming back and hanging out than any sort of viral something that doesn't lead to a sustainable community, personally. So I'm fine with where we're at. Unfortunately for me, these don't really ratio cleanly. Sorry, I just pivoted right back to talking about the game. I need 28 sponge cultures to 9 bioreactors. There goes your plan to go viral on TikTok. Oh, God. There's 10. I guess I could do 2 rows of 14 of these and then try to do something with the sponge cultures around it. Space is free. Space is free. It's more about how do I want to lay out this one thing that's divisible by 3 and this other thing that's divisible by some combination of 2s and 7s, because I can't really make. I'm just going to drop these up here for now. Can't easily. So this is fine. Do I have enough space here? Do 2 of these. I have to move that water pipe, but otherwise, yes. Okay. This has to come out. This is for any decayed sea sponge sprouts. They turn back into quartz ore. which is kind of dark. They just, like, dry up and become stones. 42 would be the smallest, yeah. Yeah, well, we're at, like, 28 to 9, so I think it's gonna be, like... I don't even know. If I take this, and we mirror this vertically... I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change these so that we're no longer outputting the decayed sponges onto the middle belt. Here, let me actually get rid of that first. 4 each and an extra feeding bowl. That's a possibility. I'll just have them share an input belt. It's fine. I just have to refactor some things. What I was getting away with before on this is that one half of the belt was sponge sprouts in, and the other half was any decay out. But I can't do that, at least not in this version of the game. No, we have plenty of throughput. Throughput's not the concern, it's just this split belt. I think what I'm going to do is we're just going to change this to not filter. And then we'll handle it with a splitter at the output end, and we can route any quartz back over to where it needs to be routed, instead of trying to deal with it here. This pipe I'm going to have to move, so let's get that out of the way. I think that'll be easier, just to handle the output with a splitter. And I think when I did this, splitters were still not impossible, but like relatively expensive. This build is very old. It's been around a while. Will this reach? Not quite. And I don't want to... Oh, never mind. I do want to. I was going to say I don't want to bother upgrading this, but I don't have enough tier 1 pipes here. So we're going to upgrade all this. I just want to be careful to only upgrade this this build and not the build below me. Because I don't want to end up with half upgraded pipes and connections that get broken. So that all upgrades. That upgrades, that upgrades, that upgrades. And actually, we're not even going to do that. We're going to take this all the way over here. Because we also got to connect this up here. New question. Yeah, underground length is the main one. These undergrounds are spectacular. All right. So now we just need 9 of these. And these ones I am just going to put in a row, and we're going to deal with. Second pipe has an extra underground. Ah, yep, right here. I removed one of those and didn't remove the other one. Doesn't really matter. And then this, I have to reroute the water. And this is the old pipes, because this build was already the old pipes. And I don't want to change it. Okay. And this is unhappy because it doesn't have the right signals, of course. Because everything got moved around. Yeah, and now these will run because our sponge output is super low. I'm going to let this buffer a larger number of sponges, just in case. Output-wise, we got to do two things. We need to split off... How do I want to do this? Sponges left, and then a priority splitter, which will take the sponges to here. And then everything that's not sponges will end up... There we go. It doesn't really need to be on either side of a belt. They can just merge, but this is fine. We will also, once again, split sponges here. Because we do have to still take care of the byproduct, the, whatever the trash is. Quartz ore. So yeah, we prioritize the sponges, then we end up with this belt that's sponge on one side and quartz ore on the other. And that's fine, because we only make like 4 sponges a second. And then the quartz ore comes over here. It is a weird decay product, indeed. I don't know what it's trying to, if anything, it is trying to model. All right, we should be pushing sponge sprouts down into the whole system. These are all ratioed, so once they all start, they should all run fine. And these will turn off once this gets whatever my threshold is. 5,000, yeah. So when this is at 10 of 12 rows, it'll turn off. Could be the fact that, yeah, but that shouldn't be quartz. Quartz is silicon. We have, like, various calcium things, but yeah, it would be limestone. And if it was a limestone byproduct, it would make sense to me. All right, that's a lot of sponges, but that is another build done. What have we got at the mall right now ready to go? We've got the liquid nitrogen, and we've got the new type of silicon. This is all doing well, apparently. We have more of these running again. making more of the trackers, which I think means that we are making solar panels again. Yeah, we are getting mirrors slowly but surely. I don't have enough mirror factories to keep up with how many of these assemblers got assigned to craft these things, but I don't want to try to refactor the auto crafters, so we're just going to accept that our autocraft bandwidth is a little bit limited right now, and we'll be careful with what we build. Because these solar panels are going to take a while. But as long as we're getting fuel up here, we're fine. I guess the next thing to do is to try to figure out where I want to build blue chips. So let's head over to the east where I was talking about and see what the shape of that lake is and what we're dealing with there. Oh, there's some trees under there? There are. Oh, and I accidentally brought some sponge. Oh, well. We're going to have 33 sponges in logistics storage forever. Yeah, so what I want to see is what's going on with the shape of this lake out this far. And if I think I'm going to have the space out here, then this will be a reasonable place, I think, to try to do blue chips. This is a big lake. All right. But it doesn't seem like it cuts too far. I was going to say it doesn't seem like it cuts too far south, but actually it kind of does. I was on a peninsula. Oof. Definitely a respect the terrain moment. Yes. Yeah. Well, this is... I mean, we probably do have space here if we made this box like... Well, the problem is... I mean, we could make this a T intersection and come like right out here, right down here, right over here. That might be enough space for... it might be an ocean. It might be an ocean. I have this one up here that I never... still haven't even... gotten into the center of. Yeah, the big center lake, which at the start of the game was the big southeastern lake, has now been fully surrounded, which is wild. I mean, we do have a bunch of space in here, but this is prime real estate that's near the mall, so I've said this before, but the more I can save this for crafting like advanced modules and things, the happier I will be, because the advanced modules are always kind of a pain. Maybe down this way somewhere then. Let's head south. Yeah, south is probably the thing I want to do. I wonder if the thing to do is to go I mean, a little bit further east here, and I can squeeze a couple of builds in. Probably not, although we have a lot of these rocks, which is also frustrating around here. Like, this might be unusable just because of all of these resource rocks more than anything else. And that's also getting to be a problem here. They're just everywhere when you get further out. No, I'm not landfilling lake. We're respecting the terrain. It's more interesting. The base design is more interesting if we try to go around the lakes and stuff, right? It keeps it from being too much of a grid. Yeah, it does barely seem like I'm going to need the resources from the rocks. At some point, I will probably pivot away from, like, tapping another iron patch to just tapping a couple of iron rocks, and then it'll be the end of needing them. Because the rocks are infinite, right? So... but they are starting to be stressful. Because they're everywhere. Yeah. But I didn't even have the research for the big mines until relatively recently. I know it's a blue tier tech, but I never bothered. But now that I do, as our resources start to run dry, we can just start dropping big mines, and then we never have to worry again, because it's infinite. So let's see what we got. If we want to go east from here, that spot is rough, potentially, with that resource rock, as is... well, that one might be okay. Yeah, I think that'll scoop right past. If I cap my FPS to 60 and turn on VSync, you get tearing. Interesting. Generally, having FPS limiters on at the same time as VSync causes problems, but usually it would be like stutter, not tearing. Because the FPS limiter and VSync are fighting over who gets to actually synchronize to 60, right? Tearing is an interesting effect there. I think we're going to go south. And we're going to go south from, like, right here? Yeah, right here. And hopefully we don't run into anything awful here. Although we might be headed right for this bitumen seep. We'll see how that goes. What I think I can do is coming down to, like, this layer. We can just draw a whole new horizontal line, like, right here. as best we can. I got to figure out how I'm going to hook it up here, what the, like, remaining shape of this is going to look like, so we can maybe try to use some of this space. But we'll draw a whole new horizontal line all the way across the bottom here, and we'll hook it up, like, maybe even, like, right here. Here, maybe, or here. Any of these places is fine. And then we can just start dropping stations pointing south from that. And I think that'll be good enough for our needs. And it'll have good, decent enough connectivity to the, Right, and that's what you see happen a lot of times with trying to do FPS limiters in VSync, is that they're not quite on exactly the same rounded to 60 hertz value. But again, I would be surprised that that would cause... We need to be one further south. That would cause tearing and not just frame pacing issues. But maybe that's an engine issue, where the FPS limiter is disabling VSync somehow. It's the only game you seem to do it. Yeah. It's, like I said, it's weird. It's a weird interaction. Yeah. But VSync should act as a FPS limiter, right? Unless you turn on, like, triple buffering. All right, this is where we're gonna be starting to build out some new rows. We'll build this out, like I said, this way to here. We'll go all the way out this way to here somewhere. This will have decent connectivity to a lot of the other parts of the base through here. So I think we'll be able to use this fine. We can probably toss some builds going east, just like right here. I think most of the builds from this are going to go south, but we will also have some opportunity, you know, depending on how these builds are laid out, to tuck some northern-facing things up here and fill in some of this space. Yeah. Yeah, it locks the frames being displayed to the monitor so that you get tearing when the GPU is drawing to the frame at the same time that the monitor is displaying it. So you end up with like half of a new frame and half of an old frame. So by locking the frame buffer being updated to the frame rate, you eliminate that. But there are ways to make sure that the user's frame rate is unlimited. If you have double or triple buffering, you just keep rendering to the back buffers, and then when the GPU decides which buffer is going to be displayed, it grabs that, and then the whole time it's sending it to the monitor, you just don't use that buffer. So you can have locked VSync or unlocked VSync. And usually locked VSync is the normal VSync, and you'll have a separate like triple buffer option if you want frame rate unlocked VSync. But it does play funky with frame limiting, right? Because your monitor is going to have its own, like, well, really it's the GPU. But between the two of them, they have their own clock that's separate from your CPU, and the frame rate limiter is not necessarily going to synchronize with that. And I don't know the state of the art of modern graphics drivers, and especially with variable refresh rate displays, but like I think frame rate limiters are more useful on VRR displays, right? Because you can be quote-unquote V-synced up to like 150 hertz, and if you don't need that and you want your system to run a little quieter and cooler... Right, so normally you have what's called double buffering, right? Where you have what the GPU is sending to the monitor, and that's really slow, right? That's... the monitor draws its things on the screen very slowly. So you want to have a second copy of the image, and that's what the GPU is writing to while the monitor is getting one buffer, and then they're done, and you swap them, right? The one that you just wrote can get sent to the monitor, and the one that the monitor had, now you can overwrite with the next frame. When you have triple buffering, what you can do is while the monitor is drawing one frame, you have 2 frames that you can draw to. And you can draw through those back and forth, 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 and then when the monitor's done and it's ready for the next frame, whatever one is the most recent, you can send to the monitor. But if you only have 2 buffers, then you can't be drawing to it once you've drawn once, because you need to make sure that it's ready when the monitor wants the frame. So, like, you'll draw to the back, what's called the back buffer, the one that's not being displayed, and then you have to wait until they swap, and then you can have the back buffer and draw to it again. But if you give yourself an extra buffer, which uses a little bit more VRAM and does whatever else, it lets you... obviously, the monitor can still only display at its refresh rate, but that's the case even without VSync. But it means that your frames are slightly more up-to-date, right? If you're playing a competitive game of some sort where milliseconds matter, then you can have a frame that was rendered, you know, you're rendering at 200 FPS, you can get that latest frame, even though you only see them only see them 60 times a second. I don't know if I'm explaining this well, and it's been a long time since I've done graphics programming. So all of my information also might be slightly out of date. But the idea is that you want to, you know, for certain types of games, you want your frames to be as recent as possible, even if you only see them, you know, every 16 milliseconds. You want a frame that was from this 16 milliseconds, not from the start of 16 milliseconds ago. But I think triple buffering has kind of fallen out of favor as more and more gamers have variable refresh rate monitors. Because it does use a little extra VRAM and is a little more complex just in the driver implementation of making it happen. So if you have a VRR monitor, you don't really need triple buffering because they can render back and forth, you know, swap the front buffer and the back buffer a lot more often. But you'll definitely still see in some games options, you'll have like, and it depends on the game, some of them will have VSync and then a separate triple buffering toggle. Some of them will have like a VSync off on triple buffering or off on unlocked, you'll see sometimes, which just means that which means triple buffering, because the frame rate isn't locked to the VSync rate with triple buffering. But I need a radar down here. Where are my radars? And I will say again, I have not done graphics programming for many, many, many years. And everything I know is probably out of date. Cool. Let's start building stuff. We've got our liquid nitrogen to do, and we have the heavily p-doped silicon to do. It is It is not a good time to be upgrading computer components, Acid, unfortunately. I am very lucky that I managed to upgrade my stuff kind of towards getting a 2060. Oof, if that's an upgrade, yeah, you're way behind. Then again, new parts are expensive. And depending on what games you play. Especially if you're playing at like 1080p at 60 hertz, I don't think you really need a super modern system. But it just is, yeah, I bought mine on the other side of the DDR5 price dip. I was looking at, yeah, that's probably about what I spent, but I spent that when DDR5 was new. I needed to upgrade my system, and I didn't want to go with a DDR4 platform with the expectation that I wouldn't actually be able to upgrade it. So I jumped on DDR5 early. Wow, 1,400. That's highway robbery. But yeah, I bought my stuff. What year was it? I don't know. AM5 was new. I have a Ryzen 7000 and well, also a Radeon 7000. those were the new things at the time I built my system. All right, liquid nitrogen. We need nitrogen and gasoline. That's a multi-fluid drop-off. Where's the multi-fluid drop-off? There or there? I think I've been doing them like that. Yeah, for a 1060, if a repaste didn't help, it might just be reaching end of useful life, unfortunately. Although if the repaste did work, that's a it's not a bad card to keep running. Like, the 10 series is absolutely serviceable these days. It's so easy to get caught up in, like, trying to have the latest and greatest of everything. Liquid nitrogen. There we go. Let's do this like this, because then we can take this out this way. Yeah, I like that. So that'll go there, gasoline goes there, and then we'll have another one for water. And then up top, we'll have our steam out and our liquid nitrogen out. That works for me, because that power pole tucks in nicely. They tile. Yeah, let's do that. I ran a 970 for a very, very long time. Before I finally got this system, and I was running a 970 and I was still running, was it Westmere? Yeah, it was Westmere. which was DDR3 platform. But that was a fun one because it was the high-end Intel CPUs then had triple channel memory on them. So despite being DDR3, its total memory bandwidth was still reasonably competitive for a long time. Because you had that extra 50% memory bandwidth. Honestly, it was more of an issue of, like, I had gotten a nice 4K OLED TV, and I wanted to start doing HDR and 4K gaming, and the 970 and the DDR3 platform were just not going to keep up with 4K and HDR, right? But had I been staying at 1080, I would probably still be able to use that. Well, maybe not the 970 anymore, but certainly still the Westmere. Oh, for video playback, yeah, but for gaming in 4K with HDR is a whole different ballgame. And I think at this point, probably PCI Express bandwidth is going to start to be an issue on platforms like that. Because that's only PCIe, like, 2. Let's see. This is the output. Oh, I should do... Actually, here, let's do this way. I should do the steam to water down here. Wait, no. Which step needs power? It's the outfall that needs power, not the cooling tower, isn't it? So annoying. Okay, that's fine. We'll do that up there then. Yeah, the lack of bifurcation surprised me coming from one of those old platforms. I was like, this is a 30-year-old... Well, not 30 years old. That's exaggeration. You know, a decades-old feature. Why are we... How did we lose this? And the answer is, you know, market segmentation, right? Bifurcation's a enterprise-y thing. But still... It's kind of silly. Also, this is wrong. We have to squeeze in our cooling towers first. Does it? I would believe that. Yeah, the Westmere system has gone on and is maintaining totally fine service as my home server. Yeah, water is pretty much the only thing you can sync, and it has to be just water. Nothing else goes into that outfall. And you don't get the tech for it until, like, steel. Which doesn't sound that far in, but, like... Steel is a process. I'm kind of surprised the 1060 even has an X16 interface instead of just an X8 interface built in. Yeah, an AM5 is not much better on the PCIe lanes front. More than that, but still surprisingly few. Especially since some of them end up needing to be used by the, you know, onboard audio, onboard networking, etc., because those aren't built into the chipset. They're separate chips, and they're all pulling off of your very limited PCIe lanes. What do we got? Oh, regolith. Yep. Yeah, I think AM5 has 24 off of the CPU, which is 16 going to 16 to the GPU that you're not going to get bifurcation on unless you pay for a professional board. 4 to a dedicated NVMe slot, and then 4 to the chipset. And then I think each of the chipsets has, because it's a dual chipset, so the chipset has 4 to the second chipset. And then I think they each have, I think each chipset has 8. So the first chipset has 4 out, and then 4 to the second chipset, and then the second chipset has 8 available. So I think you end up with 8 plus 4 plus, I think you end up with 32 total available lanes. Yeah, you can, good motherboards, what used to be a larger percentage of them, yeah, you start running into latency and bandwidth issues if you're pulling anything off of the second chipset on AM5, and it's, you know, right, you definitely would not want to do that. It's fine for, like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure the second GPU I use for video encode is running off of, like, one of the, well, it has to be running off one of the chipsets, but all right, is that liquid nitrogen? Is this running? Oh no, I didn't hook water up. Where's water? Nice. I am, I'm still on 10 gigabit. I didn't. All right, there we go. Now we have liquid nitrogen going. Beautiful. Yeah. Because my my Westmere board, it's really basically a workstation board that Intel rebranded as a high-end gaming board. So it's got like 8 SATA ports on it already, because workstations used to have lots of their own spinning Rust. Oh, you're running, wow, okay, yeah. I'm only running a RAID Z... What do I have it on? It's a RAID Z2 with, what is it? 6+2, I think is what I'm running. Or is it 6 in total, or is it 6? I don't remember if it's 4+2 for 6 total, or if it's 6+2. There's a 6 in there. I don't look at it. It runs. I ignore it. Okay, heavily p-doped silicon. Next thing to actually start building. For this, what are we bringing in? Yeah, bring in the liquid nitrogen, bring in the etching solution, and then biofilm, Nexolite plate, silicon wafers, and activated carbon. Those are all in pretty small amounts. Am I sure that I don't need the purified air anywhere else? The cold air. It really doesn't look like it. cold clean air. Yeah, and I started looking at liquid clean air, and that's like a whole helium pathway that I don't think well, I don't know if I'm going to need or not. I think I'm just going to build all this on site for now, and if it turns out that we need any of these air intermediates, we'll deal with it then. Yeah, well, that's the real reason to have anything at X4 or even X5 speeds, is the bandwidth sharing. Right. Yeah, maybe a GPU that you're running or your main storage can be huge, but like getting chipset lanes up to that speed is really just to be able to handle, 2 or 3 Thunderbolt ports worth of bandwidth, or, internal SATA, whatever else. All right, liquid nitrogen gets dropped off. Do I want to do this here, or do I want to do this on a dedicated separate platform? I think we're going to do this on a dedicated separate platform. Let's... Space is free. That's what I always say. Yeah, at some point I do need to put an HBA in my system, and I say that but still shove builds in the weird spots. This is true. Yeah, the third one gets disabled when the PCIe slot is populated. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the way I have my desktop set up, I might get one more NVMe slot I'm allowed to use. But between SATA ports and having PCIe slots populated with a fast NIC and a second GPU for video encode, we're running out of Yeah, I think if I want to add like a capture card, if I ever want to try to do streaming on console games or anything, I would need to get one of those franking cables and a riser of some sort. Let's see. Let's do solid drop off first. Yeah, that is the right position. Just making sure they match. Yeah, those old SFP cards are not the most efficient, are they? All right, what are we bringing in here? Biofilm. Nexilate plate. Silicon wafers. And activated carbon. $25. That is more power being consumed by your NIC than by the Intel Arc card that I use for video encode. I think my little Arc's only like 20 watts. What am I doing? We need pressurized air. All right, this is just a little chain of machines here. It's funny that the 25 gig gear spent more and got 25 gig gear. It is more expensive. I guess it doesn't surprise me because it's not as frequently used in industry, right? Yeah, 40 gig is weird, is my understanding. Right, 25 is backwards compatible with 10, as 10 is with 5 and 2.5. Evaporator, at least as long as you're on Ethernet. Obviously on SFP it's different, but... Right, 40's the quad. Yep. All right, it's ad break o'clock again, everybody. I'm going to step away and get some water during the break. I recommend everyone else take the chance to hydrate. And we will finish getting this silicon build done when we return. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Where are we here? This stage needs the activated carbon, and we need to start with the pressurized air in. Yeah, you torpedoed any upgrade path. That makes sense. And I guess that also explains why 25 gig was more expensive at the time, right? Because you're dealing with 25 gig on the SFP 10s instead of on the quad SFP. So that's a much faster serial encoder instead of the spread out 4 channels of the quad. Because I was wondering about that. Why 25 would end up being more expensive. That's the other problem with going with used enterprise gear, right? Is fans. What's stage 2 here? We make purified air, and then we combine that with liquid nitrogen to make cold air. This doesn't have any solid inputs. Oh, this is just an awful set of inputs and out. Oh my god. Pie. Whoever designed this is a monster. So we've got one input on the bottom and one input on the top. Same with outputs. And the liquid nitrogen we still need to bring in. We have 2 fluids we're going to need in total, right? Yes. Unify is a better ecosystem in that it's got more special use case switches, but your home network is relatively simple. Yeah. My home network is distressingly overcomplicated for what it actually does. But a lot of that is just me being paranoid. And like if I've got commercial grade gear, not full-blown enterprise stuff. Most of my stuff is like commercial grade, but like why not run a separate VLAN and isolated Wi-Fi network for all of my appliancey devices because I don't trust them on the same subnet as the rest of my stuff, right? May as well. It's easy. Quote unquote easy. So I have, I mean, between VPNs and specific subnets for different things, I think I'm running like half a dozen VLANs, or sorry, between VPNs and VLANs, I'm running like half a dozen subnets, which is silly. I mean, it's even things like, you know, keeping the PlayStation and the Roku box separate from the computers that have information on them that I care about. And I trust nothing, is what I'm saying. And I have a separate VLAN for all my electronic test equipment stuff for playing with those things. And that's all set up so that those cannot talk to the internet, but I can talk to them from my other subnets. So if I want to do any, like, play with any automation around any of that stuff, I can talk to it all from my desktop. And all the auto discovery works on my desktop. I forward the MDNS packets, but I keep those from phoning home or reaching out. Took apart the fact that your stove had a Wi-Fi card to begin with is deeply distressing to me and is everything that is wrong with the world that we currently live in. Gonna do this like this. What's the next stage here? Another filter. And this one makes cold clean air from this and the biofilm. Okay. So that's this one. Just go like that. And we're going to have two outputs here. So like the eventual future of this, I think will be mirrored. Because we'll take this like this, that, and that. And then we're going to have another output, which is the petroleum gas. Oh, a patch panel. I need to do that. I am one of those people that did the awful thing, and I terminated all of my cables in plugs, not in a patch panel. So there's just a bundle of plugs in the ceiling of my utility room plugged into my switches. Because I am an awful human being. I would make a network engineer cry, for sure. Oh, yeah, it's easy to trim them and change them. I just have to decide I want to do it and set up a patch panel and... And then gas processing unit at the end. And this is where we do the actual silicon. Everything up to here was just preparing the cold, clean air for this last step, which is doing the heavily p-doped... Oh, I have a new lightly p-doped recipe. Is this better than the old one? Should I have switched to this? It adds lithium, but doubles my yield. Okay. That doubles my yield for a little bit of lithium. That might be worth it. Put keystones on them instead. Yeah. Not do a patch panel for even longer because it's so easy to do it. Yeah. Sorry, this is the wrong thing. I want heavily p-doped, not heavily n-doped. This one. So that's this here. Oop, and that's wrong. Once again, I have been tricked by Pi's tall buildings. Look at that. That's a whole tile past the edge of this. Believe it or not, that is in line with that. And we're going to bring in etching solution, which is right here. Why is a train stuck? Is this just another broken fuel? No, it's not. Okay. That was a missing green wire after I refactored this. Fortunately, We are currently consuming iron plates, so this should get drained. I think we caught it right before it turned into an absolute catastrophe. Because this would have tried to route more stone bricks and more logs as well. And I think we got away with... Because the iron plates get used stack-wise. I am not doing anything special for metadata currently. It didn't seem worth it unless I wanted to put, like, for at least for performance purposes, put acceleration, put solid state in. My understanding, at least when I was setting it up, from what I was reading, was that spinning rust isn't really fast enough for it to be worth it. What's going on? Did I not just enable pressurized air here? Pressurized air. Pressurized air is not... Oh, this is rotated. But I'm presently not. When I redo it, when I finally decide I want to throw more drives in and get a HBA and get a proper drive chassis instead of having it in an old workstation tower, the plan is to move metadata off of the... Right. Yeah. That is a thing that I do kind of understand. Because of how RAID Z works. Biofilm. Biofilm. Right. So for metadata intensive, read intensive workloads, having mirrored metadata can still be worth it even if it's spinning rust. That makes sense. Silicon and Nexalit. Why haven't we gotten Nexalit plate delivered here yet? What are the chances that our Nexalit is just broken? Have a fat metadata VDAB. Abuse the small block. Ooh. Yes, that I do know. Yeah, this is broken. We're not getting Nexalit ore in. Is that because our poor little Digosaurs are just... Oh, that's an awful sound. ZFS VDev mirror non-rotating increment. The mirror read algorithm uses current load and an incremental weighting value to determine the VDev to service a read operation. Lower values determine the preferred VDev. Weighting value... So you can throw an SSD in your mirrored. Yeah. And it'll prefer to read. Interesting. That's disgusting, and I love it. Alright, I think raw Nexalit is a problem right now. Is it time to upgrade to worker food? What tier of worker food do we have available? What is it called? What are the intermediates called? Meat workers food, quality workers food, and deluxe workers food. Okay. I think... Yeah, we don't even have the quality workers food yet. That's not until prod. So all we could do is go for workers, normal workers food. If we wanted to go for it. Do we go for it? I mean, what's the speed boost? Oh, from meat to workers food is like a 4x speed boost. Do I have tier 2 dinos? Oh, maybe. What are they called? No, I get them here. The workadiles, right? Are the tier 2s? Or are they the tier 3s? Ah, no. I do have them. Thick hats. So we could get these guys going. Oh, and they just run in a creature chamber. Can I do these at my mall? I might be able to just do them at the mall. Let's try this. Because I do have creature chambers. I want to be careful with them. I always want to be careful with them. Oh, yeah, don't allow Dilmos anymore either. But we can do... It'll be those ones, right? Because that's... Is it the same turd for all of the... Yeah. The planetary adaptation turd. So we have to allow those ones. And then... Also, is there a bigger and upgraded mining building that would let me put 8 guys in? Is there an upgraded dig site? No. Okay. That's fine. So let's request, what is it, 32 of them? I have 8 buildings, each with 4 modules. I lost track of it. Where is it? Here. Yeah, 8 buildings, each with 4 modules. So we need 32 of them. So those should now get dispatched to one of the creature chambers. Good. Which is now going to request all of these... Oh, we don't have animal samples, do we? Because these decay pretty quickly. All right. So that's going to be what we don't have at the mall is animal samples. I also might need to allow list the potato and bear DNA samples. Made in a data array, so that's this setup. Potato, bear. I think I should have cDNA and good alien samples available. If not, we can definitely request those to the mall. Yeah, it's already here. Good alien samples, cDNA. That's fine. I think the only thing that's going to be an issue is the animal. Which one is it? The animal sample. Because this one decays, and I know I'm not presently making it anywhere. The problem is that needs, if we go to a place where we're making them, all this crap. I mean, I guess what I do... They do decay right back into plasmids, which is cool. All right, I guess what I do is I'll set up a gene lab up near the mall. I'll put a station here, and I will tie it to only request all the animal parts, or at least the ones that decay, when we can read requests from this, right? And if we have requests for animal samples, we request all the things needed to make them. Otherwise, we don't. And we're going to get a train load of animal parts, and a bunch of it's just going to decay. But that's fine, because a bunch of animal parts just sit around and decay anyway. The other problem then is dealing with the decay outputs from here and having to get that stuff back onto rails and out of the mall. And I don't necessarily have an immediate answer to that. That might just be finally building more rail pieces down here, or I guess we do have room for stations down here. So we can do outputs on those decay products on the biocrud and the jerky. I think it's just biocrud and jerky, so. And we have biocrud in the mall anyway that I need to get rid of because it ends up in my inventory and gets trashed and other things decay, so. Okay, that's a plan. It's a plan that I don't hate. I do want to get this done so that it at least can theoretically run. So we'll do silicon wafer, Nexolite plate. And I'm glad that I noticed that Nexolite is broken, because that could be so much worse. And then our output there. Hook that up to a solid pickup station. Looking good, and I just have to set these up as void outputs. Huh? Where's the... Ah, there is. There's a little bit of petroleum gas in each of these. Sorry, you can't see it when you click on the pump. You can only see it in the right panel. But yeah, we've got 24, 48, 72. That's fine. But those need to be set as voids. Let me find a place where I know I have a fluid void. Somewhere over here. Maybe not. Maybe not. All right, nickel was a bad choice. Let's try over here. There we go. Petroleum gas. And... nitrogen. Cool. Let's go figure out animal samples at the mall so we can get those better critters going on my Nexalit. I may still need to make workers' food, but let's get the critters done first. That's not right. Where am I? Oh, I missed my turn. So, I think what we're going to do, we're going to do a solid drop off here. Am I out of rail? I am. Wow. Well, it's a good thing we're at the mall. And how many inputs go into this? It's a lot, isn't it? It's like 6. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 6 plus plasmids, but plasmids will just come in on a requester chest. So that's fine. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a requester. I'm going to make this a requester deposit. This has 160 slots. So we can do 20, well, 25, 26 really. Bones can always come in. And skin can always come in. But meat and lard and brains and guts, we only want to bring in when we need them. I guess this should be a buffer chest, actually, is the thing to do. And then we trash unrequested, and that will trash automatically any decay. So we do bones. We do skin. We do meat, and we want to make sure basically that any of this that ends up in storage gets brought here so it can get used if we have a use for it. And then that all feeds into a gene lab. Mark 1 or Mark 2? What am I using over here? That looks like a Mark 1. Okay, that's fine. This doesn't need to be, like, super high throughput, so... Gene lab. And a couple of inserters set to decay priority. Cool. Here, we're going to need a... Well, we're going to need a bunch of stuff. We'll have an output here into a provider chest. No. I'm actually going to make it a buffer chest again. And... we will have this request the animal samples at 1 stack. So this will automatically, plasmids will get removed from here, but this can provide, and that's what we want. And then we're going to have an input here from a requester chest, which is the plasmids. And that can just request a stack, that's fine. And this makes animal samples, that's fine. So now I need one of these over here somewhere. Set to read network requests, and you enable when animal sample is greater than 0. And then over here, you know what? Let's not make this the green wire. Let's make this the red wire. Because I'm also going to need to send it up this way to a decider combinator. And this is going to do the same thing when animal samples is greater than 0. Then we will output a bunch of things. Meat, guts, brains, and lard. All right, so this should now be getting all of those requests, and it is. And trains will be dispatched. So now we just need the output stations for jerky and biocrud to deal with the inevitable decay. And that's basically what these do, which are solid pickup stations, which are swapped over to requester chests. But they also need all of the, like, void, whatever, logic applied to them. Wherever I have a solid byproduct that needs to be voided, somewhere down here, there's probably something. Yeah, we can copy you. Biocrud is greater than... What does Biocrud stack to? Biocrud stacks to 100, right? So that would be 10k. And then jerky up here is going to be the same. And then this requests jerky. All of the jerky. And this one requests biocrud. All of the biocrud. Turns out we have a lot of biocrud in storage. So we're going to start flushing that out now, which is also cool. These should trash unrequested. Not that it shouldn't matter. Request from buffer chests. Request from buffer chests. Trash unrequested is already set. Trash unrequested is already set. And then up here, these should be set to request from buffer chests, right? Yeah. Yep. Okay. So this will output to the buffer chest, which needs to be a buffer chest so that the Logi system knows that when it decays, it's actually trash. At least that is my thought process. Don't we have plasmids? Isn't that a thing? Oh, this needs to be set to request from buffer chests as well. And just for good measure, trash unrequested. And then any animal parts that somehow end up in my inventory and end up in logistics storage will get transferred here first. And then because this is set up as a buffer chest with trash unrequested, once anything decays, it will be removed from this system. So I think this should work to get us animal samples. I don't know how we ended up with 300 of them as our number. Oh, these are 30 each, aren't they? No, 20 each. Yeah, we want to craft 32, but there's a limiter in here that restricts these to only requesting crafts up to 10, so we don't overfill these. What are we missing? We're missing AUG codices and 2 for codexes. Okay. Those are this one, right? Those are just normal assembly machine recipes. Yeah. AUG codex. I forgot I needed those for the gene samples, or whatever they're called. DNA samples. What do you need? Iron chest. Do I not have iron chest in the allow list? That's funny. I do not. Okay. Now I think we've got everything we need for this to be able to run. My concern is how many assemblers do we have available right now? Just barely enough, it looks like. So we will make the potato codexes. We will make the bear codexes. Oh, excuse me. Ooh. And we've got the... Yeah. I think we're good. Yeah, we got potato DNA samples. We're still waiting for the bear DNA samples. That won't take long. And the animal samples are probably... What's going on? Oh! Yep. A lot of trains on the way. That's unfortunate. I mean, it's fine. All that stuff's just going to decay eventually anyway at animal processing and never get used, but still. Just a fuel train, I don't really care. How are Trits doing? Oh, good, they're broken. Trits are broken because... Sea sponges. Not enough bots? Maybe true. We only have 5,000 bots in the mall. Although there's 1,600 available, so we're not, Did my sponge build not work right? How are we broken? What broke? Why are we... Saline water. Did I not get that hooked up right? Oh, I didn't. Look at that. I didn't upgrade this pipe. Ugh. Okay, so that's broken. We gotta go fix sponge. And it looked like there might be some byproduct output issues. No, I think we're fine. I think it does all get output. It's just a little wonky right now. And this is a mess. Do I have enough... Here's a question. Do I have enough modules to upgrade Trits yet? 32, it's 40 of them. That's right. Oh, yeah, we have plenty. Let's do the Trits upgrade. Let's go fix sponge. And maybe the mall will work itself out. This also means we can do that. Oh, next one over. That's zip ears. We want Trits. So drop off these modules and then go fix sponge because I screwed up the pipe. I only upgraded half of the pipe so it didn't Sponge, unfortunately, has not been running this whole time. Sponge, here we go. Oh, I really screwed that up. Yeah, that needs that, and then these are all... And that can go away too. There we go. And this belt will get cleared out of these decaying sponge as we go. Ooh, I do need to re-loop the system by hand. Prime the pump so that it starts to make more. Yeah, we were just running out. Because everything should be running again. Yeah. Yep. Let me just double check in YAFC real quick. How much? Oh, yeah, we need 4.3 sponge a second to make... Oh, no, sorry, that's our total output. Sea sponge sprouts is 0.6 a second. That is fine with a gray inserter. Cool. I think this is fixed now. I guess I didn't stick around long enough when I built this the first time to notice that it was backing up on saline water. Oh, what's next? In theory, this is running fine. This doesn't have access. Yeah, this doesn't have brains. Oh, and it doesn't have blood. I gotta get blood hooked up to that. Which is fine. We do bring blood into the system somewhere. Ooh, do we not? I guess we don't. We have artificial blood, but not good old-fashioned red-blooded blood. Okay. So I will need to do that as well. Get blood in here for these things. But that's an easy fix. Sponge, are you still running? You haven't broken yet? Hasn't broken yet. A lot of quartz ore in there. That is us voiding a lot of sponge into sponge sprouts, and then those just decaying. But so blood, I guess we can just hook up here. And blood. And that'll just leave brains, which we never make enough of. But hopefully, if trits start running again, now that I fixed sponge, and they should, then we will get... We'll have a lot more brains. Because I'm assuming that if I go down here and look at animal processing, I'm going to see that we are running low on optical fiber. Yes. So yeah, as soon as we start getting deliveries of trits into the system, we're going to be... Oh, there we go. We got one. Each trit only has one brain, but still, we're getting rid of trits by the dozen, so... All right. That's fine. I can't really fix Nextlet until the thickets are done. What are these? Oh, interesting. These are all... Are these all the possible... I set this up having space for extra flu... Right. I vaguely remember how this works now. I think it's fine for now. Anything that I want to be able to make in the creature chamber, I need to be able to, like, get all the right fluids into. So this does some weirdness with filling and emptying this pipe with different fluids, just because I don't know which recipe we're actually running at any given time. Which is just a ridiculous thing to have done. I don't know why I built it that way. I sort of know why I built it that way. Yeah, we're just waiting on the animal samples. Cool. The different... DNA samples are running. They're slow, but they're running. That's probably going to be our limiting, well, 720 seconds. But 2 bare DNA samples. So if these are faster than 1440, they are. Yeah. Whoa, excuse me. So the thickets will run at their own speed, and everything else will slowly catch up to them. Or won't catch up to them. Will catch up to them. Yeah. What am I doing? What am I working on? Whatever this was. Okay, this did eventually get a load of Nextlet. So we are making the heavily p-doped silicon. Excellent. I think we can start looking at YAFC again. Like, obviously we have this thicket problem, which I should put in the to-do list. But we can look at what's next in YAFC to be getting our mech parts. Do we need to figure out special small parts next? Oh, excuse me. Special small parts is going to be a big one, right? We always use heaps of small parts at every tier. So, yes. That needs super steel, which we have. A bunch of plastic. Carbon fiber, which is used in a bunch of things. So we do want carbon fiber to be its own thing. Belts I usually make on site from rubber. Oh, and that prods. Excellent. Nenbit matrices are also part of... Neither of these. Ah, it is. It's part of superconducting wire. Okay. Yep. Nenbit matrix. 0.22 a second. And I have this set here. Okay. So yeah, I have this set so that we're going to export Nenbit matrices. So that means we need the extra 2 a second to be exported. Jeez, that's a lot. So we don't need to make those on site. Grease we don't. Aluminium we don't. Aerogel we already have a build for, but it's going to be way too small for this. And then glass fibers are probably used in a bunch of crap. Yes. So glass fibers we will also build separately. All right. So all of this stuff gets built separately is what I'm saying. The carbon fiber, the N-bit matrices, the glass fiber, it's all separate builds. So any one of those is a reasonable target, I think. Twitch is telling me that it's ad break o'clock again. I do run just one ad break an hour, just long enough to keep pre-rolls turned off, so I appreciate everyone sticking around through the break. I'm going to step away and get some water so you don't miss anything. I'll see everyone in just a few minutes. That one. That's the screen we want to be on. There we go. Welcome back, everybody. I think looking at the things we're looking at, like carbon fiber is going to get used in low-density structures and in the nanostructured material. Okay. So whatever I build for carbon fiber is going to have to be a lot bigger. And also, it's a bunch more epoxy. Cool. We just upgraded epoxy, and that upgrade is going to be too small. We're going to have to expand epoxy some more. Probably not as significantly as we just did, but like, how much bigger can we make it? Can we fit 4? We can fit 4 on the end. Okay. 4 out of 10, so we can make this 40% bigger. Hopefully that's enough for whatever our needs are. But as I was saying, carbon fiber is used in a bunch of other stuff, and I have no idea how much we're really going to need to scale for. Carbon fiber is definitely a pain, always felt expensive. Yeah, I'm looking at that. But, like, when I'm looking at what it's used in... Okay, yes, special small parts. But a lot of these other uses are effectively... like... Oh, but see, this is the problem, right? It's used in rocket parts, and I saw the Tholin's capsule, too. So that means we're going to have a certain amount of carbon fiber that is running continuously. What I was wondering, looking at the carbon fiber, was, like, how much of this stuff is effectively only feeding into the mall, even if it's via a couple layers of indirection. Because, like, the nanostructured material is all buildings, right? But no, it's in space science. That's a rocket parts are a negligible cost. Good to know. Presumably same with the Tholin's capsules, right? You send one up per rocket. So we're going to need a little bit more carbon fiber than this. What goes into a Nenbit matrix? Nanocrystalline cellulose, Nexolite matrix, and niobium titanium alloy. And they prod. Jeez, that's a lot of Nexolite matrices. Okay. Yeah. How big is my Nexolite matrix build? Not that big. Obviously, I mean, why did I come up with 7.2 a second? Oh, 4.3 if I'm running at... This is running mech parts at 1 assembler scale. Which is bonkers that we're already pulling that much special small parts. None of this stuff, and this is the issue, right, is like, if we do build this, it's a lot of special small parts. If we don't build this to this scale, it's going to be starving mech parts while they're bootstrapping, and then mech parts are going to saturate, and we're never going to need them again. If we do build them to this scale, they're just way overbuilt. And I have tended to err on the side of overbuilding a lot of these things. So, like, you know, we need 4.5 a second. That's more than 1 assembler's worth. We could, you know, do this, right? And say it's 1 1/3 assemblers. And that'll give us a more accurate feel for our actual demand of all these intermediates. It's still a lot of Nenbit matrices. And still a lot of Nexolite matrices. Didn't quite do that math right. There we go. Even one more than that. So 8.64. Yeah. If we look at high-tech circuit boards, we're pulling, yeah, 9.26. It's even more than that. Jeez. So that's... What? 2.88 was 3 of these. So that's... What is that divided by 3? 96? 0.96 per machine? Yeah. So if we do 9.6, that's 10 machines. Which is exactly 2 vacuum pumps, too. Very nice. I don't know what our other demand for Nextlet Matrix is, though. Because we've got the neural processors and the neuromorphic chips as well. 0.5, 0.75, so an extra 1.25. 11. That's a lot of Nextlet plate. How much Nextlet plate can we make? Assuming we could get the raw Nextlet. Yeah, that's like half of our Nextlet plate. We're only pulling in 1 belt of raw Nextlet, but... And this is the best Nextlet processing I have right now, I think. Right? Yeah, Nextlet 2 from ChemSci. That's what we built. We don't get 3 until another couple hundred hours. So we might have to double this. Nextlet can't be prodded, right? No, this does not look proddable. If we do double this, I think we do have to invest in workers' food, though. Because, like, yeah, we can maybe get the new diggers going. But that's only going to double our throughput, and our current throughput's not even keeping up with what we have. So if we want to double up to 30 a second in, well, for one thing, do I even have space to do that here? Did I already double this? No. Wow. Yeah, that is only 1 belt a second. That is a big build. Next, but we could double this. We can upgrade everything to Mark II buildings, right? We don't have to make all of these lines super long lines of buildings. We can go for Mark II buildings, but we definitely need workers' food if we're going to do that. That is inevitable. Okay, so workers' food has to happen. The thing I need to figure out then, we do Nextlet from meat and thickets. I trust these numbers not at all. But that's like 2 workers' food a second. I don't know if I believe that. Well, maybe. Because they're going to go out and they're going to get like 16 items, right? So workers' food is accurate. Dig site count is bad estimate. Fair enough. Yeah, I filed a bug about this, where the YAFC... Because Pi tries to tell YAFC what to do to calculate this stuff better, and I seem to recall it being completely uselessly broken before, but I don't know if that's still the case. So what does this look like right now? If I did it with our current Digosaurs and meat... That's the wrong module. We've got these guys. Yeah, it thinks we need 15 dig sites. See, that's not changing. I'm looking at the wrong... Oh, I guess I have to set it to this one, right? We set it to the, like, meat and Digosaurus, and then I set the module correctly? Is that what I need? At 15 a second. This says we should be able to keep up, although, again, the estimates are screwy. I mean, this changes nothing. Yeah, this doesn't know what it's doing. I don't know if this works right with the special modules at all. Well, for now, I think we just have to get these guys made. Why do we only have one animal sample? That's so weird. What's going on? We don't have... What? Request from buffer chests. Oh, do we not actually have plasmids? Do we have, like, everything except plasmids in this system? Okay. Ugh. That is probably what it is. I'm just checking all of these to see if there's space for new items in them before I add another new requester setup. I'm not seeing space, though. Okay. So that's a drop-off. And then this goes away, this goes away. And we'll bring in one of these. Our requests are going to start with plasmids. And then in here, plasmids at 32 stacks. All right, that should do the trick. We will finally get plasmids delivered up here. I didn't realize that we didn't have plasmids. I'm surprised that we have every other bio thing, but not plasmids. But I don't see them, so I guess I can just double check that, like, the plasmids factory isn't busted. No, we have plenty. So yeah, it is just the case that they were not already at the mall. That was a heavy sigh. It is nice to occasionally be doing work on the mall where I can do things remotely and not have to worry about it, where the bots can handle things. Some year we'll have bots over the whole base. Oh, we have another train stuck. Are they both fuel stations? They're both fuel stations. Interesting. Oh, I was here anyway. Doing all this remotely and I was here anyway. Alright, so what am I even doing? We're gonna need more Nexolite. That is for certain. So I think we do have to upgrade this. The question is, do we just switch it all over to... excuse me. Switch it all over to tier 2 buildings and... I mean, I guess that's got to be the option, right? Boy, it's going to pull a lot of iron, though. But going up to tier 2 buildings for everything, even though it's kind of... Usually I don't bother with tier 2 buildings unless... Oh, and I'm going to need to figure out better heat source. Well, no, once I make this a... Sorry. That will also be a... coal power plant Mark II now. There it is. That's what I wanted to see. I usually don't bother making Mark II buildings unless they need modules, but in this case, we're kind of space constrained. So unless I want to go rebuild it somewhere else, we can't really expand this out to twice this size, right? We could. I mean, no, we can't. We're starting to interfere with these things over here. So, unfortunately, I think we just upgrade to the Mark II buildings. It's a lot of raw materials for a lot of Mark II buildings, but we got to do what we got to do, and that is what we got to do. Some of these things I could leave at Mark I's, but whatever. All right. And then hopefully getting the Digosaurs upgraded. I mean, it looks like for... That's the wrong Nexolite. Here, I'm just going to make a new tab. So raw Nexolite, making 30 a second from the thickets. This says 2 a second if we make workers' food. If we don't make workers' food, it's like half a belt of workers' food. Or half a belt of meat. Which is a lot of meat. But also, we have so much meat. But looking at this right now, like... we find meat with digosaurs. Yeah, a whole belt of meat going in with half a dozen dig sites, but we know that's a bad estimate. But we're nowhere near... What does my prod history show? Are we wondering if maybe it was broken for a while because meat production got screwed up? I think that is the most reliable thing in my whole base. About 23 per minute food per dig site. Yeah. Yeah, because we have the fast ones. 15 a second meat would be 45 dig sites. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we are, even with the better, with the thickets, we're gonna need workers' food, right? We need that multiplier to their speed. Yeah, and this is showing... Well, all the numbers are screwy, right? But, like... It shows about 6 dig sites with meat. If I use the recipe with workers' food, it's off. But... yeah. It says 0.6. But... that would be fine. So a little more than 2 a second workers' food would run all 8 of those and would get us what we need as far as raw nexolite. Okay. Cool. So I guess we gotta get workers' food. That's gonna be the... I mean, we'll see what the actual number ends up being when we assign it to... Yeah, when we prod it, it's going to be a little bit more like... This is theoretically just barely enough, but maybe we... maybe we just do the 2.4 and move on with our lives. Because that's a nice round number of all the inputs. water, jerky. Native flora, we always mine on site. Starch? How much starch am I currently making? 3 a second? Oh, that's like a third of my starch. I might need to upgrade this. Oh. Yeah, I'm not even prodding this. Okay. So yes, I do need to upgrade starch. We'll look into that. Otherwise, all this stuff is fine. Let's figure out what our, like, demand for starch is. For all of our various foods. 0.8, 1.2, 1.6. Apparently I make this starch on site for cotton gut food. So 1.6. Oh, and this makes 3. So we're actually okay. I don't actually have to change it right now. Interesting. All right. In that case, we'll leave it. I must have just, like, decided to build this ratioed. The 3-to-4 ratio. So starch is fine. I think the rest of this is fine. Yeah, it's just a matter of finding a spot near a flora collector where we can get this built. And then this, we need to take the whole shopping list on and upgrade all the buildings. And probably also upgrade a bunch of belts where we're going to end up with more than 15 items a second. Excuse me. Jeez. I said this at the start of the stream. I was up early this morning, helping a friend move. We were trying to get moving done before the heat of the day. And between being up early and carrying heavy things, I am just exhausted. All right, let's get the shopping list for this. No nap. I did not take a nap. I should have taken a nap. If I... That is a lot of things. We're going to request a warehouse. And what else? How's this doing, by the way? Out of our 600 panels, 100, 200, 300 done? 350? Oh, it's literally the numbers right in front of me. I'm counting. 350 out of 600. So this is like halfway done. Awesome. We're making progress on that as well. That'll help power. Power's not awful, but we're actually doing pretty well. Oh, but we're also not too badly pulling our... Yeah. Particle accelerators aren't even running right now. That's the... And the centrifuges, jeez. What else do I need the shopping list for? I need the workers' food shopping list. Let's get that imported. What is this called? Nexlet upgrade. And then this is where I would keep my Thick-At if I had one. Hey, it's running. Awesome. These are... Can I put a module in here? I can. I think it's worth it for the creature chamber stuff. Another thing I could maybe do... I don't know if this is worth it. We could set the threshold for creature chambers to run in parallel to a lower threshold than we do for assemblers. Because these are set to a threshold of like 50 things. Also, this system might lock up. That's something to keep in mind. How long is that craft? 720 seconds. Yeah, this might lock up. And that's bad. Because so much of this system is dedicated to trying to make solar panels right now. And we don't necessarily have the Mark I versions to feed all of these crafts. So they're just going to be sitting here waiting for their Mark I versions. Yep. Cool. Cool. Add dedicated crafters for solars. I could do that and pull them off of the sort of main system. Okay. What I think is I don't have the energy to solve any of these problems right now. My brain is mush. Oh, I feel like we could have made more progress, but we actually did get a surprising amount done today. We got a bunch of things upgraded in preparation for Circuit 3s. We got a couple of small builds done, so... we're apparently not getting nitrogen here, which worries me. This burns through a lot of nitrogen. We might just need a bigger buffer tank. Anyway, I'm going to call it here for today. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you all so much. For folks that find this live or find this on YouTube and want to watch live, there is a link down to my Twitch, down in the description. Boy, I can't even do my outro right. And we will be back tomorrow. I wanted to keep playing Isles of Sea and Sky because I was having fun playing a puzzle game. So we're going to do that. And we'll be back with Pi on Thursday. So thanks very much, everybody. I'll see you next time.